Hello guys, it's Ryan Ho back with another video. Today we have the Ifi IDSD Diablo in for review. Now what makes this device so special is that it is the most powerful portable DAC amp you can get. This thing puts out over 5 watts of power into 32 ohms. And that's literally ridiculous. This is more than most desktop setups out there. And another thing that makes this really special is, besides the fact that it has a built-in battery and can put out that much power, is it actually has a fully balanced design inside of this, which really improves its sound quality compared to the predecessor, the Ifi IDSD Signature, right? And I really do think this is the best sounding portable DAC amp you can actually get. Because there's a lot of devices out in the market that have a 4.4 Pentagon balanced port, but they're not actually like fully balanced designed on the inside, unlike this. And that's what makes this also very unique. So yeah, great power, great sound quality. Let's see what this can do. And we'll talk about its build quality and all that stuff. Also, please like and subscribe down below. It really helps my videos out. I'm trying to hit that 1,000 subscriber mark, so any help would be appreciated. And I also want to thank Ifi for sending this out for review. And yeah, so let's begin. All right, so let's take a look at the Diablo. So it has an all metal build right here, which is kind of nice, very nice and sturdy. It has the ports in the front, and then it's pretty sleek with the built-in battery. And then on the back, we have a few more ports. So let's go over them. So from the front, from the left to the right, we have the 1/4 inch adapter. So you have this adapter right here for your 3.5 millimeter. So you can just stick that in there with the adapter and play basically almost any device from it. Then we have a 4.4 Pentagon port, which you can play balance signals through this port, and you can run your balance headphones through there. And then we have the mode switch. So you got Eco, Normal, and Turbo. So there's a lot of power in each of these modes. Generally, I stick to Eco for most headphones. When I'm using my harder drive headphones, I'm probably using Normal. Turbo is like, you can also use Turbo. It's almost very rare for any headphones to need Turbo because this thing is literally so powerful. It puts out 5 watts at Turbo mode, so that's a lot. And then we have this volume dial. It kind of has channel imbalance in the beginning, so if you don't turn it far enough, you'll hear volume from your left ear cup but not your right side, so you have to turn it probably past like 9 o'clock and it'll hear volume from both sides of your ears. So on the back we have the SPDIF input if you want to use that. We also have the balance output, so it comes with a balance cable over here, as you can see. So you use that through there and you can connect it to your amplifiers. So you could do that if you wanted to get even more power out of your devices. Now we have USB power, so you can plug it in over there to power your device. And then lastly, we have the USB input. So we have the USB input right here, so it just simply plugs in back here. Then we have this balance cable from earlier. The balance goes in there. Then we have this USB port to this adapter for the wall charger. So if I plug this in over here, I can plug this into the wall adapter one. So we have this as the wall adapter, the Ifi adapter. And we just plug this cable in. So we could use that to charge it, or you can also just charge it directly using a USB. So we just have a normal USB over here, so USB-C to USB. So you can plug this to a normal wall charger or your computer, right? So we have all the accessories this comes with. So we have the bag over here. You can fit Diablo on the slot over here, which is nice. You have some more pockets over here. And this also comes with a band above right here to carry it. So let's talk about power for the device. So I have the HE6 SC-V2 right here. This is like basically the hardest to drive headphone ever. This thing is literally so inefficient, and the Diablo powers this easily. Like I don't even need to go into like turbo mode to power the HE6. Now the other thing is that I actually had the other Ifi device, the Ifi IDSD Micro Signature, And I took that with me to CanJam 2021, and I literally powered like all the most expensive headphones off of that. Like I put the Susvara on it, the original HE6, this headphone, the Abyss 1266. Like I put every single high-end headphone through the Ifi signature, and it ran it like wonderfully. This device is that on steroids, and it can easily do the same thing. So I'm very confident that this will run any headphone you want through it. When it comes to powering devices, I do think there's one downside of this thing is that it might be too powerful in the sense that like when you're playing really sensitive headphones that don't really take that much power to run, especially like let's say IEMs. Really, by the time you turn this knob on eco mode, it's like almost too loud for you to play those items. And I think that's where the Ifi IDSD signature with its kind of IEM match is a lot better than this device because it's able to kind of adjust itself with better fine-tuned controls of the volume and avoid that problem. Well, this device is really made for more harder to drive, like more powerful, needing headphones that need more power to run them. So the question is, how does this sound? I feel like to do sound, it's easier to describe sound when you do it like relative to something else, right? So I'm just gonna use the iPhone dongle as my example. I know this is like literally like 1,000 times more expensive than this, but it just makes it easy to have like a frame of reference, right? So really what you get is a very big and wide like sounding soundstage from this type of device. It really opens up the music, and that's what I find that's very like useful when you go upgrading your like DAC amp to something like more powerful, is that it really opens up the stage. And the fact that it has a fully balanced design that even helps it sound even more bigger and spacious, it honestly competes with my desktop. It's about this basically the same type of spaciousness, and it's even better than the previous device I reviewed, which is the Ifi Micro IDSD signature. And like that one, I could actually tell it wasn't as wide, but I think because it has a fully balanced design in this device and is focused solely on sound quality, this thing is the most detailed thing I've heard. It's super detailed. You can hear all the sounds around you. It's spacious, and yeah, you have no problem with that. Like it is just a great sounding device. Now, I think if I do comparisons, it kind of makes a little bit more sense. So if I compare this to my desktop, I can kind of tell you what I hear is the differences, right? So my desktop setup is like a topping A90 and SMSL SU9. They're kind of this very like measurement focused devices that people talk about. And the thing that I hear between the difference between them, because that's like a $1,000 setup, this is also a $1,000 setup, is that they honestly sound very, very, very similar. Like when you get to like this type of level, everything sounds like really, really good. The differences between them are very small, but the difference between like this and this is huge, right? And the difference between this device and like $150 like DAC amp setup is also big. But when you get into like $1,000 things comparing each other, their differences get really small. Now, the thing that I noticed about this and some of its characteristics compared to my desktop setup, this sounds a little bit more organic than that. Now, what do I mean by organic, right? So I kind of attempt to define this. So what I hear as a difference is that when you hear sounds, especially like you hear the bass kind of like hit, right? You hear the bass hit, and then in my desktop setup, the topping A90, you kind of hear it hit and then it just disappears really quickly. Versus something like the Diablo, you kind of hear the noise hit and you kind of hear its decay a little bit. It kind of hangs out a little longer. And that type of like decay sound you hear from the Diablo gives it a little bit more of a realistic sound because things do like bounce and echo in real life. I feel like the desktop setup I have kind of starts and ends really quickly, that it's almost unnatural. So I feel like that what gives this a little bit more of an organic taste to it. Now the other thing is that I also hear that makes this sound a little bit more organic is that when you kind of hear differences in sounds as it transitions from like one to another, it kind of has more emphasis on different sounds. Things kind of pop out and stand out a little bit more versus when I'm listening to my, topping A90, the sounds that comes from it, it seems like nothing is very emphasized at all. Everything is kind of a lot flatter and nothing stands out. I feel like that gives the music kind of this almost boring-ish look, and it doesn't sound as like realistic. When I'm listening to my desktop setup, the differences between those is not as much emphasized as it is on the Diablo, and I feel like that gives it a little bit more realistic character. So I think like those two things combined really makes it me like kind of prefer listening to this than my desktop setup. And this kind of translates to like when you hear the bass notes, the bass just kind of hangs out a little longer, so it gives the bass this appearance of a little bit more thump and a little bit more action. When I get really into it, these differences are really so small, but like the treble and like I feel like the upper mids of these device, they come out a little bit more relaxed sounding than this like hyper like energetic sound that I get from my desktop setup. The last thing I want to say about this device is kind of how it makes kind of the sounds around you kind of the soundstage is shaped is a little different from other devices I've used. I find that Ifi devices have a really good kind of like imaging and depth to them that like other devices don't. And the way I would describe this is like, it feels like for my desktop setup, the sounds are kind of coming kind of like in front of me, a little bit wider than me, while the Diablo kind of comes around more circular, like kind of more 3D, more depth, like more depth forward presentation. And the music kind of gets separated a little bit more between like in front of me and out here. And that gives it a little bit better depth than normal devices. And I think it adds a little bit element of realism too. And it just makes me prefer listening to Diablo more and more as I listen to it because of that. And that's a very like interesting thing. And it actually stands out quite a bit to the point where like I said, I do prefer listening to music on this, right? And yeah, honestly, the sound quality that comes out from Diablo is top notch. Like if you're looking for something that you could literally fit in your pocket, throw in your backpack, take around with you anywhere and play your gear, this device definitely will do the trick. And if you don't have that much desktop space on your computer next to you, and this thing can actually be used like a desktop device. I've been using it basically plugged in USB through my to my computer, and then you can plug in another USB to here just to charge it, and you can just charge it while you're playing it, so it basically never runs out of battery, and you can just use it like a desktop setup, but a very compact one at that. In conclusion, I think the Ifi Diablo is the most powerful device you can get, and it's also the best sounding like portable DAC amp you can get. Now, I think the Ifi IDSD signature, which is its like younger brother basically, is probably the most versatile DAC amp ever because it has bass boost function that this one doesn't have, and it also has the IEM match function that this doesn't have. And that one can kind of play even more devices. I can play much more sensitive devices that this one cannot. And I think between those two products, like you can pick whichever one you need the most, but this one definitely leans towards like the ultimate sound quality if that's what you're looking for. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe down below. It really helps my videos out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.